Hello everyone, it's me, OneGamer54, back in another video, and today we're going to be going back to a series that, kind of went blank for a bit. For those who realize I said the same thing in episode 2, I just want to clarify it again for the different channels. Anyways, we are going to be continuing the co-channel series around here. As you guys may or may not know, episode 2 just released yesterday, where we go over To Be Beautiful. And now, with episode 3, which is going to be here on the main channel, we are going to be this is all you need to know about book story 3 of the Fazbear Frights series, which is Count the Ways. Again, if you guys have never read Count the Ways or any of the Fazbear Frights books, what are you doing here? This is going to contain spoilers. However, you don't need to worry, because on the second channel, I have been reading the stories. In fact, you can see me reading Fazbear Frights 1 and 2 are already completed. The stories are already there. There's a playlist. You can go and basically binge watch Count the Ways, and you'll have the information right there. So yeah, this is gonna contain some spoilers, so if you haven't read the book, you already know what to do. So then, let's get to the story, shall we? But I will say this mostly. In the book, the story alternates between events from past and present. And I was really thinking how I was gonna go with this, so I figured, you know what? Why not? I'm gonna try the best I can to make this as chronological as in a chronological order as always. Like, try to piece the past events to the present events as best as I can. I think I did a good job, but we'll just see. Alright, so you got that? Alright. Let's get back to the review. Let's get back on the story, shall we? So, Count the Ways starts with Millie, who is a goth girl who recently moved in with her grandfather. At school, Millie doesn't have many friends and spends most of the time by herself reading and writing poems about death. One day at school, a new goth kid named Dylan sat next to her at the table. They bond over the shared love of horror stories. She starts thinking about love instead of death, and reads and writes about poems about it. Later, they go into a library together where she realizes she has a crush on Dylan. At the school's Christmas party, Millie finds Dylan kissing another girl. She goes home angry and depressed. The next day, she asks why Dylan cheated on her, but he responds that he never had feelings for her, and that she just wanted to be friends. He accuses her for being a hypocrite and ends their friendship. So, not a good start for Millie. It's also like implied in the books that Millie doesn't like other kids. Like, she didn't like how different Dylan's girlfriend is. So that was she was judging the looks and everything. So just a reminder there. At her grandfather's Christmas party, all of Millie's uncles, aunts, and cousins come to her house to celebrate. She finds the party nauseating and tries to find a place to hide from them. She explores her grandfather's workshop until she sees a defective Funtime Freddy in the corner of the room. And just the mere mention of Funtime Freddy, I think you guys know where this is going. She climbs inside its body cavity and closes the door, eventually falling asleep. Big red flags right there. This led to the opening scene of the story, where Millie wakes up to see Funtime Freddy's eyes looking down at her. Funtime Freddy tells her that he's going to kill her, but she will get to choose how she will die. He jokes about Millie's obsessions with death and how he's going to grant her wish. Millie begs to be let out, but Funtime Freddy refuses. Funtime Freddy gives Millie 7 options to die. And, Yeah. All right. These deaths ranges from dehydration, starvation, hypothermia, impalement, electric electrocution, boiling, and decapitation. He describes each method with great detail and enjoyment. Millie agrees with the decap attack, believing that she can just curl herself small enough to dodge the blade. Funtime Freddy then gives an execution speech, talking about how Millie had committed crimes against humanity through the way she acted towards other people. Millie decided to make it a point to be kinder to people around her if she survives this. The blade then slices through the cavity and never is revealed. And the blade then sliced through the cavity. And I'm gonna just say this outright. This is just the beginning of the stories where this is just the beginning of where some Fazbear Fright stories have anomalous endings. Like it's never revealed if Millie survived or she died. All we got at the end of the story was her grandfather waits for Millie to come back so she can open all her presents. And like I said before, the ending was ominous. Like, we don't know if Millie does come back and open her gifts, or those gifts will never be opened up because Millie was never there to open them. So, yeah. So, what I think about this story, um, at the first time I read this, I didn't really like Millie, to be honest. Like, I just didn't really like Millie as a character. Like, I don't know what it was, but it just like something about her rubbed me off the wrong way. But after like going back to it, I somewhat think that Millie is a compelling character and it just got me to like her a little bit better. I'm just saying that she's not the worst protagonist we had. There's certainly a Fazbear Fright protagonist that me and I'm pretty sure the other people who had the misfortune to read that story that we had to spend time with that protagonist and none of us felt any sympathy of what happened to that protagonist. If you know which story I'm talking about, congratulations. If you don't know who I'm talking about, stay tuned. So, yeah. So, what can I take away from this story, to be honest? Well, I will say this. Funtime Freddy in this story is completely different compared to his game counterpart. Like in the games, Funtime Freddy is well, he's dark, but he's a goofy dark. Like he's funny, but he's dark at the same time. Count the Ways Funtime Freddy is very dark and twisted. And I believe this version of Funtime Freddy would later actually influence the Funtime Freddy personality we get on games. This is also like the ninth story, I believe, that takes place. Like, that took place in the epilogues. The others include Into the Pit, To Be Beautiful, Fetch, Out of Stock, 1:35 a.m., and three others that I will not reveal until the time comes. But just know there's three other books. I mean, three other stories that actually appear in the epilogues. So, yeah. And like I and again, I must emphasize this is the first story that has an anonymous ending. Like, I already talked about it, but again, you don't know if Millie survives or not. And I think, and I don't know, it might infuriate some people, but to me, it was like, okay, sure, it's up to the reader's perspective. So I kind of like that. But you know what? I think, well, we're kind of here. You know what? I think, hold on. All right, so here's what I. All right, so here's what we're. This is something that will be appearing in most of the series in the episodes, but when we get to like the end, like the final third story of each book, that episode will contain like the final story as well as the epilogue story, which is the Stitch Wraith story. So not only so let's talk about the Stitch Wraith story, the first one. In the story, Detective Larson works at the police department, investigating police cases. Due to his large workload and him prioritizing, he put his work above everything else, especially his family. His wife, Angela, divorced him and claimed custody of his 7-year-old son, Ryan. The chief of office arrives and gives the detective an infamous case about a mysterious figure who is considered to be an urban legend to many people, the Stitch Wraith. A strange hooded figure roams the streets, collecting random garbage in alleyways. It had seen scouring many times by random bystanders. And, I'm not going to reveal as much that's happening in the books because, you can also just check the read-throughs that I did. But anyways, the events of To Be Beautiful was briefly mentioned in the story, revealing the aftermath of Sarah's mutilation, eventual death. Her accident ended up all over the news, with students who witnessed it being put on therapy and many others comparing the incident to the Stitch Wraith's sightings. So, yeah. This is where the Stitch Wraith stories are indeed connected to the standalone book series, okay? So, the epilogues and the overall Fazbear Frights stories are connected to the point that you can actually make a timeline out of it. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't have all the books. Haven't read them all yet. Still waiting on Fazbear Frights number 12, Felix the Shark. So, do excuse that I won't be able to make a timeline anytime soon. Well, maybe till April. But anyway, as Larson was looking at the witness reports and security cam footage, the Stitch Wraith's face was shown, with a white mask, one blacked out eye, and bloodstains around its mouth. It's also revealed that the mysterious figure has murdered 5 people, causing their bodies to decay and black liquids to spill from their eyes. Detective Larson is tasked to figure out the Stitch Wraith's identity, into which he reluctantly agrees to take on the case. So overall, I believe, with the Stitch Wraith, the first epilogue is a great way to, to introduce the Stitch Wraith as well as a different side story. So in a way, each Fazbear Frights books contain 3.5 stories. And honestly, it's a great way for people who are interested in the Stitch Wraith stories to keep collecting each book. Like, I'm not saying that each book, like the Fazbear Frights stories individually, are bad. I don't think that. They're very good. A nice book, nice stories. Well, intriguing stories that you just want to pick up the book and read. But the Stitch Wraith story is not something to just you know, ignore. It's actually good as well. So that's my 2 cents on it. And honestly, the first epilogue does a great way to, like, you know, intrigue you in the story and just making you wait for the next one to come out so you can read the next part of the story. So yeah. And with that, we closed up. We just got done with Fazbear Frights #1. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. You can also go ahead and subscribe to my second channel because that's where some episodes are going to be popping up. So like, you guys are looking like, where's episode 2 in this channel? Well, episode 2 is on the other channel. It's on the Alex the Wolf channel. That's where episode 2 is, and that's where the next episode's at. So, yeah, go over there and subscribe to the channel. I do many gacha content right in there, so, you know, if you guys are interested in seeing Mind You the Girlfriend over there, go ahead. Other than that, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.